the Madman! Welcome to the neutral ratings of Saviors of Uldum. There's a card in here that I think is just as good as Ziliax, so get those packs of Saviors of Uldum. Use my link below to purchase said packs, and I get some kickback as an affiliate. Thank you. We've got Jar Dealer to begin with. 1 mana 1/1, which Death Rattle adds a 1 cost isn't good enough, even with the Carpet and Zoo, which is probably the most likely place it would see play. Moga Cultist is a meme. 1 star. Dwarven Archaeologist, 1 star. Not really relevant enough. Injured Tolvir, 1 star. I'm a little hesitant on this one. Could actually be higher. Depends a lot on whether or not Quest Priest is good. Actually, it depends entirely on if Quest Priest is good, and then it depends on if Quest Priest will use this card. I'm thinking no and no, but we'll see. Spinning Camel, 1 star. The extra health is not worth the downside. Temple Berserker, 1 star. It's no kindly grandmother, mostly because the Reborn, the 3/1, is just too vulnerable. Neverset Ritualist, 1 star. Great arena card, but adjacent minions to full health is surprisingly not worth that much. Bug Collector, 1 star. It's worse Hog Rider. You want the 2/1 side to have Rush. Vile Fiend, 1 star. 2 mana 2/2 lifesteal is just not good enough stat line. Candle Taker, 1 star. Being slightly better Scarlet Crusader is not good enough. Generous Mummy, 1 star. You're giving away too much to your opponent if you play it. Mischief Maker, 1 star. Not disruptive enough to warrant the bad stat line. Probably wouldn't even see play as a 3 mana 3/4. Infested Goblin, 1 star. I don't think Taunt Warrior is going to work, but if Taunt Warrior does work, Infested Goblin will actually be in that deck and will be pretty solid. Golden Scarab, 1 star. Decent, but when you compare it to Volpera Scoundrel, I think Golden Scarab is found lacking. Desert Hare, 1 star. 3/1/1s for 3 is terrible. Sunstruck Henchman, 1 star. 50% chance of falling asleep. Blah. Conjured Mirage, 1 star. Good in combo decks, good in stall decks, in aggro heavy metas. That's pretty specific. Body Wrapper, 1 star. For some reason, people seem to have taken a liking to Body Wrapper in singleton decks. All I can tell you is, you're not going to discover the friendly minion that died that you want. Wasteland Assassin, 1 star. I mean, it's a 5 mana 4/2 stat line. Balance Commander, 1 star. I'm not sure he even sees play in the Taunt Warrior deck, but that's the only deck that would use it. Mortuary Machine, 1 star. It's no Fel Reaver or Bitter Tide Hydra. The cost is really steep. Desert Obelisk, 1 star. Awesome meme, but 1 star. Kartut Defender, 1 star. I believe that you should use Bone Wraith instead if you're looking for a defensive option against aggro. Blatant Decoy, 1 star. Some potential in some sort of summon cheat big cards out of your deck, but I think not good enough. Wrapped Golem, 1 star. Big, slight value card is not really in flavor for being good in the meta that I expect. Wasteland Scorpid, 1 star. Big, dumb minion that doesn't do much and is slow. Hit Crocolisk, 1 star. Deals a good amount of damage, 5 damage. Could be compared with Firelands Portal, but 1 mana more than Firelands Portal is meh. Anubisaf Warbringer, 1 star. Some potential cuteness with the Rogue Legendary Anka. Way too slow. Living Monument, 1 star. No one's ever actually going to pay 10 mana for this in a real game. Bosses of the Moon, 1 star. No one's going to pay 10 mana for this in Standard. Are they? Now let's take a look at the cards that I gave some amount of stars to. Beaming Sidekick, 5 stars. That's a 1 mana 1/4. That's ridiculous, especially in a minion flood deck such as Zoo. So many stats, great in many flood decks. Mermy, 5 stars. Low key, this is one of the strongest cards in the set. Murloc Shaman loves starting with a card in play, and this is a good 1 mana 1/1 that's sticky on the board. A Toxfinned Mermy could take down the greatest of all threats. Shaman is already tier 1, and I expect that with Mermy, as well as with another card that's coming up, it'll remain tier 1. Zephyrus the Great, 5 stars. This really gives incentive to singleton decks. Throughout my ratings, I only gave 1 deck the potential to run Zephyrus, and that was Hunter. Not really Bran that's making the Hunter singleton deck great, but it's a factor. It's Zephyrus that's being great. Zephyrus is so great that you might want to consider decks that are singleton that aren't Druid, Hunter, Mage, and Paladin. Questing Explorer, 3 stars. I think this card is grossly overrated, and I have even overrated her myself to compensate for the mob mentality of this card. I think this card should only be considered in Quest Shaman. She is at her best and is actually appropriate in Quest Mage and in Quest Warlock, but I think both of those quests are really bad. Even though it's incredibly wrong to play her in Quest Druid, some people are going to play that. So I feel like the 3-star rating is very appropriate here. Serpent Egg, 3 stars. I feel like Serpent Egg is a viable path to go for a zoo. My main concern is even in that deck, I think that the Scarab Egg is better because Grim Rally will hit more things. My other concern is I feel like Sacrificial Zoo is weaker than the Self-Harm and the Lackey package for Zoo. My view on it is that Serpent Egg ends up being in the worst version of Zoo, hence the 3-star rating, even though I think Zoo is going to be a good deck. Fish Flinger, 5 stars. Fling this fish into your Murloc Shaman deck. It's good. It's real good there. The Murloc is much better in your hand than it is in their hand. Cobalt Sand Trooper, 2 stars. It could easily not even be tried out, or it could be great in face decks, because that's exactly where Sand Trooper goes. It goes into a very aggressive deck. Yes, it's simply Leopard Gnome with 1 more mana and 1 more attack and 1 more damage on the death rattle, but that is possibly just menacing enough. Quicksand Elemental, 3 stars. I feel like this is a very legitimate tech for a board flood deck early. This card is especially strong to answer your opponent's Hyena Alpha. Similar case if you play this against the Garden Gnome. Similar case in the mirror sometimes. Big board against the big board. Quicksand Elemental just like completely turns the game on its heels. Volpera Scoundrel, 5 stars. This is the strongest that they have ever pushed a Discover minion with stats. But this card allows you not only to discover a spell of your choice from your class, which is good, but it even gives you a mystery choice. It's probably going to see play in every single singleton deck. It's going to be strongly considered in any control or value deck. History buff, 3 stars. I think alongside the Quicksand Elemental, this is a valid choice for minion-focused decks. I think that good card package in Zoo might actually work. Slow with a hand buff, but still ultimately 3 mana, 4/5. And that's only if you play 1 minion. You play multiple minions, you're getting a lot of hand buffing. Bone Wraith, 2 stars. I think it's better than Rotten Apple Bomb. This is the card that I feel like you should be putting into your control deck or combo deck if you need survivability against an aggro deck. Do I think you'll need it that often? No, which is why I rated it a 2-star. Faceless Lurker, 2 stars. I see it in a few different possibilities. One is in Taunt Warrior. I personally don't think that Taunt Warrior will work, but other option is in Battlecry Shaman. Shudderwalk would love to double its health. And with the double your Battlecry, Faceless Lurker as a 5 mana 3/12, that's pretty solid. See ya, Matt. Welcome to the card that I think will rival Ziliax in terms of played rate. You're almost always going to choose Rush and Divine Shield with Siamat, but there is the additional benefit that sometimes you can choose Rush and Wind Fury if you really need to remove 2 things, one of which you can kill and then the other thing hopefully is also big. You can choose Taunt Divine Shield if you really need to stay alive, especially if your opponent doesn't have anything. If your opponent doesn't have anything and you're like really far ahead, you can choose Divine Shield, Wind Fury. So flexible, but even just good enough as 7 mana 6/6 Rush Divine Shield. I think this card is so good that all the time you're going to see Siamat choose Rush Divine Shield, and then the other player is going to Rush Divine Shield into Siamat. In that sense, maybe there's some sort of mini game where you don't want to play Siamat if you think your opponent has Siamat, because it is so good to play Siamat against Siamat. Octosari, 3 stars. I think this is a very legitimate card refill option for aggressive decks, tempo decks, and mid-range decks. Would you like a 3 mana 8/8 with your Myras, which is actually less bad than Myras? Yes. I think it's a tricky card to fit into your deck, it's a tricky card to fit into your game plan, and hence I am only giving it 3 stars. I could easily see it being one of the best cards in this set though. But again, if it's too powerful, then Silence just comes in. I could also see a world where it's useless because maybe aggressive decks don't want to play a slow 8 mana 8/8. But I could see a world where this card warps Silence to be very important. King Falrus, 2 stars. This card likely makes a few different deck archetypes across a number of decks. Maybe Mage, maybe Druid, 10 mana, get a bunch of stats out. My main concern is that these all seem like they would be in control decks, and a control deck being able to one time get a bunch of stats out, that's nice, but I'm not entirely sure that's game winning of a game plan. Don't seem to gain enough value to compete with the big value generators of Quest Druid, Quest Shaman, Control Warrior in this meta. So whew, those are my star ratings for Saviors of Uldum. Looks like a strong set. This top 10 is going to have some of the strongest cards I've ever been putting in a top 10. Make sure to check that out.
Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tomb, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do.